Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about my hair.
Yes, it looks lush.
I dried it.
You're on a bit of a delay with me, so I don't know why that is.
Well, hello, Sync fans. Happy Sunday Sync Up special session.
Yes, hello.
Sarah and I have just been to school together.
Yes.
Where we have learnt, we're now bona fide, graduated social media influencers already.
Yes.
I think it's that simple. Done the course, therefore we are.
Yeah. Yes. We can now legally go viral if we want.
All these years I've been trying not to be viral.
Right, before we go any further, what have you done with your hair? Because that looks lush.
All I do join the comedy stylings of stand-up comedians Sarah and Lucy. All I do is I take it down in sections and I air dry it. I don't do anything.
Oh right. Yeah, it looks nice.
That's my natural hair, but that's I do straighten it to look posh.
Don't bother straightening it then, because it looks nice straight, but it does look nice.
But then can you see how straight the bits are? Like the
yes.
So
yeah.
I would need to perfect. I would need to spend money on those anti non-sulfur, non-paraben things, and I don't have the money for that right now due to the pandemic.
There's a banana one in there's a banana one in B&M that's super cheap. It's only £1.50. There's a for shampoo £1.50 each, shampoo and conditioner. So that'll do it.
Before you say anything, I have rewritten now. I'm on my second version of the article. For those of you that watched us interview Barbara Nice, she inspired us to write an article about online comedy and how it's affected us and what we've done with it. So I started writing, as I said to Sarah, like Jessica Fletcher. I was writing my great memoirs. And then you shared with me that it needs to be 500 words. And I thought, okay, fine. But then I realized that means 200. But then it's 250 each, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd done about 250. I'd done 250 for my first paragraph. So then I had to, the thing with comedy is you write this much and then you destroy it into a one-line joke.
Yeah. Well, I'm going on to Chortle now, and they just all it is they give a guide of it being about 500 words, and they will have they'll edit it if they want to. They'll do what they want with it, really, basically. But yeah, so I think the 500 words is just a guideline. It's not. It has to be 500 words.
How do you feel after our social media course that we've just been to? My brain's a
bit. That's how I feel. I've literally just gone and shoved food down my throat, and I was like, I'll be 10 minutes. And they've Louis said to go on TikTok, start consuming. Big mistake for me, because I spent about half an hour on the loo looking at TikTok. That's why I'm a bit late. That's why I rushed in doing my lipstick and my hair. I haven't heard to anywhere about today at all.
Yeah. So I've just brought up TikTok. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a couple of funny videos. And next thing you know, Amanda Holden is walking down a staircase, putting on a hoodie.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, so now she's going to do something. Then she put her hoodie on, right? Yes. She's going to do something. And then she opened her front door. I thought, she's going to do something. And then she walked through the door and that was it.
Yeah, because she's Amanda Holden.
Right. Okay.
People are just going to watch her because she is Amanda Holden. They're not going to watch her.
She walked down the stairs and she basically went.
And that's it.
Right. One change I have made.
Yeah.
Got another light on my face. There we go.
Well done.
See, watch this. Watch this. This is what we've. This is the 2 hours instruction that we've just had. Okay. This is what I was before the course. This is me now since the course.
That's worth it. That's worth the 2 hours alone.
There we go. I mean, I can feel the internet being influenced as we speak.
I thought it was good. I really enjoyed the course.
I really enjoyed it. But did you see my stressed face? And did you see me starting to smoke? Because you know I can't. When I get stressed, I need to have a cigarette. I'm not condoning cigarettes, kids. It does make me sexy and popular. Not for you. But as I started getting more and more stressy, I genuinely, I just thought, and the minute he said, let's go for a toilet break, I was like, I need to get my cigarettes. And then I could see all these important and clever and fabulous people looking back at me, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that person.
Did you recognize anyone then? I thought, I think somebody messaged me something, thinking it was for someone else.
Lorna?
No. Michael Dreiberg, he's like, hello, you. And I'm like, oh, I
recognize him from somewhere. Lorna has done us the favor, because she's got a lot of Twitter followers. She has retweeted our joke in the rough as when I sent it to her. So, and she's also, she's 86% sure she's been on Who Said That with Mark Olver.
Oh yeah, very possibly. She's on BBC Sesh.
I know Sarah, but I don't know where I know Sarah from. Is it Funny Women?
Yeah, probably.
I think it's Funny Women. For those of you that don't know what Funny Women is, let's share it with the world. So there is a community, an organisation called Funny Women. And can you guess what it's for?
Is it for?
It's for artisan painters. And there's a community. There are many awards they do for online awards, stand-up, writing, short movies, all that. They've got very, very distinguished alumni and patrons. Jo Brand is not a patron. She's named herself the matron of Funny Women. And they run workshops. So you can do the Exeter workshop with Dr. Maggie Irving. You can go to the Bristol workshop with Louise Lee. And you can now go to the Edinburgh workshop with Sarah Paloma. So there's all of those. So as a resource, and the guy that did our course with us now, I'm going to ask him to be on the sync.
Right. Okay.
Don't know when, but I know that he's going on my chalkboard of people that might be good, because it's, we're not asking people to come on here and share all their secrets for free if that's what their business is based on, but they can still explain the premise of their pedagogy, the thinking, the instructional, difference between what they're offering and what other people are offering. It can still be a platform for that, I reckon. But do I look younger?
You look gorgeous. How did you manage it?
It's a duck. Let me see, what was it? Oh look, it can also entertain me if the interviews ever get boring. So I've brought up Reddit, and I've looked at stand-up comedy, and some people are putting their 5s up there, and I'm thinking I don't want to put my 5 or my 10 because I want to because I want to keep that for myself.
Yeah. I'm literally going to spend a bit. I'm treating it like, I like watching videos online. I like watching YouTube though, but for educational purposes. Like I watch a lot of the whole food plant-based stuff and the vegan stuff. There's a guy called Mike the Vegan I enjoy, but I will watch them because they're 10-15 minute videos, which is perfect time for when I'm eating my breakfast. So I love YouTube for when I'm eating my breakfast because I only want to be 10-15 minutes. And if I watch a TV program, you guarantee I'll be like, oh, I'll just watch the next one. Everything is so cliffhangery, isn't it? everything's so like you watching, and then the last 10 minutes they'll go, oh, to hook you back into the next one, because a lot of stuff was made pre-streaming.
Yeah.
So now you're like, oh, I'll just watch the next one then. So you could be there for hours, and I'm like, I can't. So that's why I go on YouTube now to watch stuff if I'm eating my breakfast.
What I don't understand with YouTube and Facebook, okay, so
Uh-huh.
let's say you are watching Louis Burgess, okay, watching
Right.
one of his videos. So you've gone into his channel and you've gone onto his videos.
Yeah.
So say you watch his video, I don't know, maybe he's got one called Hello Day. So you click on Hello Day and you start watching, and at the end of that, it automatically takes you to a completely different video. Do you know what I mean? You would think if you've got three of them, 4 fingers. If you've got 4 videos, right, and you watch this one, you would think it would then go like that. With Facebook, if I watch, say I do love my Chris Moyles on Radio X videos.
Yes.
So I bring one up, and the next thing that comes up is this lovely, talented, clever Asian lady called Emma Lou or Emmy May or something like that. And she'll use like vintage cooking and like a Victorian potato peeler or a Edwardian egg whisk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, I've just shown you that I've watched 5 Chris Moyle videos in a row, and you keep thinking she likes comedy on the radio. She must want to know how to make an omelette without eggs.
Right.
So all those talks of algorithms,
yeah,
don't make sense.
Yeah. I'm at the beginning of it all, so I find it all very confusing, and it changes constantly, doesn't it, with social media? Because I remember doing like a Twitter, so somebody was just doing like a talk about social media, and back then it was very much like, oh, you should, like, you can, like, say you explain like us about the sink. Say you wanted to say to people, right, because quite often like we meet like 10 minutes before to do a quick like all over our Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it. So it's like we could put out a say come and watch this thing, but we could plan to put that on and automate it for that to go out if we wanted, like once a week. But rather than what we actually do, which is panic as we 5 minutes before we're due to start broadcasting and put it all over everything. And with Facebook, their algorithm now, like you might post something up today on your wall, and I might not see that for 3 days time, because Facebook want you to pay for everything.
See, that's strange, because I do because you've said this before, if you put it on Facebook, you won't get it for the next day, and I get that. It's the same.
But some people, they go, no, I just saw it.
Instant thumbs up and instant thingies. And I'm thinking, how? But the beautiful thing is, what we've done is, because we are now dual streaming onto YouTube, we have got videos that we can send, share for posterity, as opposed to thinking we've got 2 weeks to share the love on this. We've got more of an allowance, and I'm glad. I'm really glad. So at the moment, we've got the D Maxwell video up there, and obviously this one's streaming live. I did the tech check. It's all running fine.
Good.
TikTok.
I want people to come onto Twitter, because I do like the chat. I like when people are, interacting with us.
Yeah.
Which I guess they can do on YouTube as well, but I'd like to get people onto Twitch. I don't know why.
So I mean, with YouTube, the only reason why I've pushed for us to go onto YouTube is because I do have a few friends that have got very, very low bandwidth Wi-Fi.
Right.
And they just cannot get Twitch to do more than 30 seconds without just watching a continual stream of buffering. And then it's there for posterity. So I still think we push on the Twitch. But it's just a case of, it's free, it's there.
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
Like last week, I had a friend manage to watch a bit of us on YouTube, and that was the first time he's been able to get the sync to work. So
right. And And it is tricky because, like, it's 4:30. It's what, 3:45 on a Sunday. It's the first sunny day we've had, or at least sunny-ish day that we've had all week. Maybe a
Yeah.
lot of people are out enjoying the sun, and don't necessarily want to be stuck inside. Go, oh no, like no one's going. Well, I'd love to go to the beach, but I couldn't stay in and
So
watch the kitchen sink.
Your lockdown isn't lifted, half lifted. I don't know what stage they're calling it, but you're lifting tomorrow.
I've given up now.
You can travel tomorrow.
Right. So in Wales, from tomorrow, we are allowed to do more than stay local. Up till today, we have to stay within, as a general consensus, it's 5 miles. They've said stay within 5 miles. And as of tomorrow, we can do what we want. We can drive to Inverness if we want, if we really want to. I don't know if Nicola Sturgeon will have anyone on the border, but if we want to, we can go wherever we want not even within reason, without reason. Can just get in the car and drive for 12 hours if we want. Wouldn't recommend it. You might crash your car. But that's Wales tomorrow. But I tell you what is confusing is, okay, but when are the pubs open? Because like all over all the media, all I've seen is that, people are rushing back to the pubs. That's just England. And this is what's bugged me all along with all of the media. They've, all the main Broad Street newspapers, BBC, they have just broadcast everything as if it's the whole of the UK when it's actually just England. It's a pain in the ass. And my early doors, my dad was like, but it's just England. And I was like, oh, God, Dad, shut up. But now I'm like, oh, no, it is. And, you try finding Welsh stuff online, you've got to search for it. It's a pain, absolute pain. So going by my mum, so make that going by the government tomorrow, you can drive as far as you like. But according to my mum, a week Monday is when, we've already got essential shops opening, but a week Monday, that's when the hairdressers are opening. Because let's face it, that's all many people give a shit about. If you're a woman, when the hairdressers are opening. If you're a man, when's the pub opening? I know that's extremely generalistic and sexist, but that's the newspapers for you. That seems to be what people seem to care about at the minute. When the hairdressers opening and when are the pubs opening? Personally, I'm growing my hair now, and the ends aren't terrible. They're not terribly split, so I'm not bothered about the hairdressers. Everyone else can use them.
The minute the 4th of July started, the M5 was absolutely bad. Because, of course, being a truck driver, I've got a lot of friends that truck drivers are on the road still. It just makes me feel like I don't want to go out. I love my pub. I really want to go to my pub. And the idea of going to the pub just makes me think there's going to be idiots there. I don't want idiots. Don't make me have idiots. And
let the idiots go out first. Let them get it out of their system. And I think in a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks time, maybe in a few days time, maybe it'll calm down then. I'm personally not that bothered about the pub. I just can't be doing with all the other people. I do care about, well, when are we going to be able to go and perform? When is my local, the Elysium Bar and Gallery, going to open so we can do Rough As Live again? That's what I care about, really.
Remember I mentioned, I think it might be the Brent something or other comedy company. Jason Mansford, 60 quid for 2 people.
Yes, yeah.
So that really pissed me off, that if you are single, like we are, I would love to go and see comedy, and I wouldn't want to have to make someone come with me, because I've not had that much time alone, and I would love to just get in the car and go to watch a comedy gig on my own and laugh when I want to laugh, and to not share my popcorn with anybody. In fact, I keep just turning like that, going, "Oh, there's no one there."
Yeah.
Visual check. I'm alone. So, Mark Watson is doing one in the Bath Showground. I think it's Bath Showground. And all the Mark Watson headlines or lineup, sorry, are 50% men, 50% women. All the others are a standard 25%. So I was over the moon to see that Mark Watson is doing 50-50.
Mm.
And it's £35 per people.
Mm.
So £35 per people.
Per person even.
Per person. So yeah, with the Jason Mansford, you've got to have 6 people in a car for it to lower to £24 or something, because it's £60 for 2, and then it increments. I know who you are, Trisha. I was about to reply.
I know.
Hiya, Trish. I want to go out, but I feel exactly the same, Lucy. I'd love to go out, but all the crowds, I think I'll wait. Yeah, so you can see how, although they're not going to be cheap, it's going to be the drive-in. My friend in Shrewsbury's just been to one. They've got comedy coming up. There was a music one. You can see them. They've spray painted all the squares. And it's, I think, hiya, Trish. I like the idea of going to comedy, but I don't want this new comedy system to be an absolute fleecing. So with the Mark Watson one, you go there, you pre-order your food. So it was like £12 for curry and rice, but you've got to pay for that's not including your 35.
That's extra.
That's extra. It was 12 quid for a burger, but it didn't say if there were chips with a burger. I've been caught out by that before. But you can order your drinks, and I do like the idea. So if that Jason Mansford, if you're on your own, that's 65 quid, and then you add your food and your drinks on top. That's ridiculous for one night of comedy.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though, isn't it? Because every other business, and it started off with the supermarkets, just had to rethink. We as human beings just had to adapt or die. We just had to rethink. They couldn't not keep the supermarkets open because we had to have food. And then in the meantime, they've just gone, I mean, the virus hasn't gone away, but we've had to rethink, well, how are we going to do this? And really the arts are no different. We need the arts. I think it's going to be interesting. What's going to happen? Well, we haven't had, like, the TV production companies haven't been recording for 3 months. What's going to happen? And everything is usually 6 months to a year in advance. What's going to happen in a year's time when there's like zero new output, or in a year's time where it's all Zoom stuff on TV?
With the Archers,
they figure it out, haven't they?
With the Archers, they've sent equipment to people's houses.
Now, I'm glad you brought up the Archers, because I don't get why they're doing it the way they are. They're doing it where it's everyone's internal monologue. And I'm like, but I have seen or heard other stuff, like podcasts, Louis Theroux podcast. He's talking to someone through Zoom. It's good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. We all know we're in a bloody pandemic. I don't care if the Archers is perfect or not. I would rather hear them talking to each other than have their internal bloody monologue.
Just to announce, the Sync Girls are now on Apple Podcasts.
Woo! Excellent. And how are we doing podcast figures, or is that for an offline discussion?
I'm sure the figures are in there. I just don't know how to. I know how to.
I'm sure those figures will go much further up now that we're both doing the curly girl method.
Yeah. But with the podcast I've uploaded, for example, I re-listened to the D Maxwell one to see how the audio transfers across. Perfectly fine. Absolutely perfectly bloody fine. So, but if you look at on ITV, the Save Our Summer program with Peter Crouch, and that's all separate people. They've got a huge studio. You've got a comedian over there. You've got musicians. You've got the Alex Horn section over there. Everybody is segregated, and it still runs perfectly fine. Then you've got Staged on the BBC iPlayer, which is mainly a two-hander, but it's sort of 3, which is genius. It's all through Zoom, and that is perfect. And then you've got something like The Archers, where it's just Josh Archer talking about selling a fucking tractor. Swear to God, if Russ gets a monologue, I'm sending a bomb in.
I like Russ. Is he the one that's going out with Lily? The old perv.
The perv, the teacher that's fucking the student. And I'm not going to mince my words. No. And I love Elizabeth Archer saying she's ready to go on a date now that her kids are grown up. What?
She's been on the date. Spoilers.
Yeah, if her daughter's allowed to fuck the teacher and her son's been in prison, I think you're all right for a date, love.
And like her husband died years ago.
Years ago.
Come on now,
I know.
sweetie. And I
And a
love
week
the
after,
fact she's like, oh, maybe I'm ready to have a date, and gets a date straight away. Not like she's struggling on bloody Tinder like the rest
she's
of
not
us.
exactly had a difficult life, has she?
No, she's living in a bloody mansion, for God's
I
sake.
know. Marry well, marry
I
up.
sense a niche. I sense a niche. I think we should come on here. We should change the name of this from the kitchen sink to the Archers discussion podcast.
Some of the
I love the Archers
podcasts that I listen to that discuss American Big Brother and stuff. The Rob Sesticino, who does the Survivor and that. There are podcasts that do just talk about
for everything.
Podcast for
But there's
everything.
podcasts about how to watch grass grow properly. There's just literally.
Have you heard the Richard Herring Stone Gathering?
Oh God,
podcast?
that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
No, him and his snooker. His snooker that he plays himself at snooker. I'm like, all the power to you. I'm bored even thinking about it. I tried listening to one of them, and I'm like, this is not for me. I think they're just ones for people to get through.
Just to bring it back to what I was saying, I was listening to the Alice and John show on 5 Live. I'd recommend it to anybody because
it's very funny.
I'd follow them from Radio X. So although it's on 5 Live, it's got nothing to do with 5 Live, and nobody that originally listened to 5 Live likes them. And they had Jen Bristow on to talk about this. And there was, I think it was like the Times or the Independent or some snooty fucking rag, said that artists have been given the least sympathy out of the entire nation for people that have lost their income or outlet.
Right.
And John Robbins said brilliantly, he said, so during lockdown, have you reverted to watching Netflix, films, listening to podcasts, watching comedy DVDs? Because if you haven't used those as a crutch to get through, then you're fine to have no sympathy for them. Then they brought up the fact that other countries such as France, etc., have been supporting the venues. So they've been given subsidies, like in Paris, they've been given subsidies to the theatres. And Jen said correctly, we would go fucking nuts if there was a single nurse or care home that didn't receive a pair of gloves because we'd given music to the Electric Palace in Bridport or something. Yeah. But every day I'm seeing posts from comedians about how this venue is closing, that venue is closing. I mean, there's a pub not too far away from me. They're not going to be reopening, but they weren't doing a very good job when it was open before the pandemic. But
I just wonder though, there will be someone who owns the building. Someone somewhere along the line goes, right, I own that building, that can make the decision to just go, you know what, this is unprecedented. I'm not going to charge rent when the place is shut and they cannot get money in. That's what I don't get. Who is being so greedy as to go, no, I don't my rent?
When it first kicked off, I saw posts here and there from people going, my private landlord has been in touch and doesn't expect anything from me because he knows I've lost my job. Whereas 99.99%, I don't think you can evict. Well, no, my friend who is a doctor, her sister is a physiotherapist, and her landlord kicked her out immediately because she didn't want to mix in with ill people.
Right.
So there was a doctor in London that sort of set up not like a Tinder app, but do you mean like a Zoopla, a connection service for people that have rooms to rent and medical professionals that have been kicked out of their houses because they don't want the unclean coming in. How in the middle of a pandemic is your first thought of keep that germy bastard away from me?
Yeah.
I can understand following them down the hallway with a pack of Dettol wipes.
Yeah. Figure out a process.
Wiping the handles and wiping the light switches and wiping the doorknobs. But to think of people doing it that way, it's just, it beggars bloody belief, honestly.
Yeah. Can you tell we've been rushing? Because we've rushed, we've come in and we've been like, another thing.
Well, usually
what about my hair?
we talk just before the show and we do sort of get a lot off our mind. But I mean, this is, I follow a woman on Twitter, and unfortunately I can't remember her name. I must have just added her one day just by mistake. And I can't find her now. And she found a 5-point plan for reopening the arts. So first of all, open air appearances are number one. And that's with like 2 meter that, and then it's open air with 1 meter. Then I think it's having it inside, but only a few people, and mainly streaming and broadcasting out. Maybe you could have screens outside. I mean, that people do that. Trish on the chat has said, "Wow, people are strange. Ignorance, that's what it is." Yeah, it was heartbreaking to hear my friend saying that, you know, her twin had come round, sat on the sofa. The two of them are both medical professionals, therefore they knew they couldn't hug each other. She's in tears and she couldn't hug her own twin about being evicted. And she couldn't have it. So they can't sublet. The landlord wouldn't, you know, she wouldn't be able to have her in and stuff. And I just thought, fucking hell, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. But then, and then it's about having people. So if you've seen the cinema plans where you've got the, you know, the rows, so it's miss and row, and then there's gaps between the parties.
Well, I was listening to, you know, the Simon Mayo and Mark Kermode podcast, and it's a week old. It's last week's, and they were saying about when would you go back to the cinema, and I'm like, I'd go back even if there's one space. Which what does it matter if everyone's wearing masks? And then Simon was like, yeah, you know, you don't know who's behind you, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're in a room for 2 hours. You've got someone
hang on,
on
as women, we don't know that anyway.
No. But you know what I mean? You've got however many people behind you and breathing out. I think if, you know, the people in front, fine, they can breathe forward, and you guarantee no one's going to be wearing a mask. There's always going to be one. You saw that with the supermarkets. Every single time I went to the supermarket, there was always one arsehole going up and down the wrong way, and you could see in their faces they're very happy to go up and down the wrong way. And I'm like, yeah, and you're facing me, breathing your germs all over me.
I actually ran out of the co-op the other day because someone did that to me, and it gave me a little wobble.
They're just assholes. I think we should just give them, yeah, congratulations, you're an asshole. Well done, you. Give them a little award.
I put a thread on my local Facebook page. You know, the incomers are coming in the next couple of days. They're coming. There's a village over with the shop where I had my wobble, where even though they've got a huge meat processing plant there, so because the temperatures are cold and people are working in proximity, cold helps this disease breed. So over 25% of them have had it. So there's a hot spot for the disease in this village, and that people are walking around, hey, how are you? Yeah, they're talking to each other, and my anxiety is sort of coming up and up.
Are you wearing a mask out? When you go out and about, do you wear masks?
I do. I've got a shield and a mask.
A shield?
Yeah.
You're like St. George. All you need is a javelin and a dragon to slay.
Sorry, I didn't make it clear. I assumed Maggie knew how to use StreamYard, bless.
Bless.
I should
click on the link, Maggie.
You know what? I assumed and made an ass out of me, not you there. So because of that, I said on our village site, if you make a mask locally, tell people locally, and people can walk to your house. You can leave it. You can do that cold drop, the Russian spy thing, where you leave the money there, stand back at the mask, post it through the letterbox, whatever. And then these two fucking absolute bints.
Bell ends, yeah.
Oh, it's not compulsory. It's not the law yet. Yeah, I know it's not compulsory and it's not the law yet, but do we have to be told? Because I mean, one of the girls off Global of Displaced Comedians, she had her eyelash extensions done the other day in America. She knew she was possibly risking it, but she did it anyway. She had a mask. The woman had a mask, but that's 3 hours of right up in your face.
Oh my God!
Had COVID. So Rachel had to go and get that long test.
Oh.
She came back negative, and it's because they both wore masks.
Yeah.
What more do people need to know? The reason why we haven't got big data facts on masks is because there's not enough idiots to step down off there. You can't tell me what to do, horse, and bloody put one on.
Yeah.
Trish said that it's made her feel better knowing that our idiots aren't doing it. She went, because it's breaking their human rights, ruining their freedom. She went, what's it with you lot? And I said, it's a basic case of you can't tell me what to do. You're not my real mum.
Yeah. What's this up with America? It's their culture. It's the land of the free. That's why you've just got all the people with the gun totes in going, this is why you can't get really rid of guns, because there are so many people going, it's my right to have a gun. It's part of their constitution, the right to bear arms. And also, like when we were chatting to some of the American acts that when the Black Lives Matter, when the George Floyd thing was going on, it really hit home how in America it's very much about defending your property, which it's not so much over here, is it? No. I mean, obviously, we don't have guns, but on on such a huge scale as America, but also it's like, it's very much, say at a burglar, it's all about defending your property, and that burglar can die, quite right, you would legally be able to kill them, whereas here it's like, just make sure they go and exit, make sure they know how to get out and don't get in their way, Yep. Mad, isn't it? God, we've been very ranty today, haven't we? How's Maggie doing? Has she figured out how to press the link?
So I clicked it, and Maggie, if you're watching this, it's the StreamYard.com link with the random letters under it. So the button I sent you with the duck face on it, just press that, and then that sort of tests. It just comes up and it says, type your name, and you can see yourself and your microphone, and then enter studio, and then I bring you into the stream. So I'm sorry, I do 100% apologize. If you want to ring me on your phone and I could talk you through it, but I'll have to leave Sarah on her own for a bit, but I'll do whatever we need to help you do this. So I'm doing a performance tomorrow. I'm only doing 5 minutes tomorrow, but it's with a lot of it's the London female writing group. So it's going to be exciting because they're going to be UK. They're going to be people I don't know and who haven't seen it. And I don't know if there's anybody in the world who hasn't seen my 5 minute set yet.
Probably one or two.
Probably one or two.
Somewhere in Norway, probably. Oh, talking of Norway. I watched yesterday the Eurovision film on Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's so good. I to be honest, I was very much like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this because it's going to be a typical Will Ferrell thing. And I couldn't be more wrong. Will Ferrell obviously is in it, and in my opinion, is about 10 years too old for the role. But it's very funny, and I fully recommend it. It's a really good feel-good film. The lead actress in it, can't remember her name, was just perfect.
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Yeah, she's just brilliant. It's so funny. And also it's over 2 hours. And I was like, oh, I basically got it from, I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. Because Mark Kermode, who is, he's a bit of a crush of mine. He was like going, oh, it's a good film. If you love Eurovision, they don't take the mickey out of Eurovision too. They do it, but in the right way and in just enough way. And and it's really good. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. It was Saturday afternoon. It was miserable weather, done all my cleaning and everything. I thought, oh, come on then, let's give this a go then. Thinking I can always turn it off if I want to. And over 2 hours, it's like 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. I'm like, oh, it's way too long. But I loved it, and I didn't get bored, didn't get fed up. It was really, and I love Eurovision. So, and you see some Eurovision people, some people who have performed at Eurovision in the past are in it. It's really good. So I fully recommend that.
Donny Lonergan's in it, isn't he?
Who's that?
Donny Lonergan.
Possibly. I don't know what he looks like.
Old Irish guy, loves a bit of a double white denim.
Oh, I didn't notice him. Graham Norton is in it, definitely.
Yes, I've heard him do the voiceover.
And the one who won Eurovision with the beard, the dress and the beard, he, I don't know what noun, pronoun they go by, but they were in it. Lovely.
Oh, I can't think of a
I can't think of their name. But brilliant. It's so, I can't tell you, you just got to watch it. It's so brilliant. And it's a bit of it, you just go, I love this. Dan Stevens plays, this Russian in it. And he's just, Dan Stevens, did you ever watch Downton Abbey?
Oh!
Yes.
Oh, Okay. So he was in something after he left Downton Abbey to pursue a bigger career. Has he?
He's been in loads, yeah. I can't tell you what he's been in, but he has been in a lot of stuff. And he was epic in it. He was really epic. He's so good playing this Russian guy, and he's just again, just watch it. It's so much fun. It's really, really good.
I saw a Mark Oliver tweet. I think he'd been listening to Mark Mayo.
Mayo and Commode.
And he said, "Oh, what's your favorite heist movie?" And I expected he was thinking to have really fancy answers, and I came back with Ocean's 8. And because of that, we watched it again the other night. So we're redoing all the Ocean's trilogies.
I watched 1 and 2. I haven't watched 3 yet, and I haven't watched Ocean's 8. But my friend was like, "Watch Ocean's 8. It's well worth." It might be you actually that said, "Watch Ocean's 8. It's well worth it." Because it's still like all female. Is it a remake or is it a whole different plot?
Ocean's 11 is a remake of a Frank Sinatra film from way back when, the 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And then so it's Ocean's 11, Men 11, and then it turns to 12 Men, then turns to 13 Men. And then his sister, who is also a career criminal, wants her own heist. And the
right. So is that the Ocean's 8 then?
It is the Ocean's 8. Yes, right. We've got our star. Our star is here. Cometh the woman, cometh the hour. Add to
I love it.
Well done for your perseverance of technology, Maggie.
Hairdressers, eh? Seriously.
That's amazing. So where did you get that?
I don't kill my friends. I don't kill friends.
So Sarah and I are very fortunate. We have gotten to know you via, well, you did see me do an open mic night just before the lockdown, but we didn't know each other. And then I was meant to come and do one of your workshops, and I messed it up because of the timings before the lockdown. But we've blossomed online. I want to thank you for the workshops you run with funny women as well, because they really are. They're useful, they're entertaining, they're creative, they're amazing. But are you enjoying the lockdown creativity, or are you just gritting your teeth and getting through it?
No. Well, to be honest, when lockdown turned up or began, it was, I went online out of necessity, because all my gigs, all my talks, all my classes went, ooh. And within a week, I thought, I came across Zoom pretty quickly, actually. And I thought, just give it a go. And it's been, to be honest, for me, it's been great. I've met people I would have never met before from towns and cities I've never been to. I had a chat from Calgary in my class the other day, and last weekend there was one from Madrid and Nottingham, and it's like, wow,
Nottingham.
I love it. It's a bit exhausting Zooming though, isn't it? Screen work. It's like, so. But from today, after this, I'm on holiday for 2 weeks.
Oh, lovely. Are you going anywhere?
I was going to say, are you not going anywhere nice?
I'm going to my mother's.
Oh. So how long has it been since you've seen your extended family?
Well, my sons are, well, they're both here, and now one's gone, and now one of my sons still here. But my mum I haven't seen since maybe February. She lives in Yorkshire, so and she's 90.
Oh, bless.
Margaret, you're going out with your hair like that.
Have you been able to keep in touch with her much on, like, was your mum able to use Zoom or Messenger?
No, my mum has got a Nokia telephone, a Nokia mobile. She can't do messages at all. She can barely remember how to make a phone call. So it really is the old-fashioned telephone call. In fact, there's no internet at her house even. So Yeah, it's
That must
like,
have been so scary.
oh God, no, not really.
No?
No. Well, don't forget, back along, we didn't have all of this, did we?
No,
We
that's
couldn't
true.
check up on people. We couldn't do what we can do now. In fact, if anything, everybody's been over-checked on for me. Did you get there all right? How was your journey? Did you meet anybody? Did you crash? Did anything exciting happen to you? No? Oh.
What we've done with, I've got a friend with her dad's on his own in London, and we bought a tablet and we put a SIM card in it, and I've set it up with all the software you need, but I've also put a software on there, which means I can take over it from here. Ooh. So every week he does choir, but through Zoom. But so he rings me, we press the button, I send button and it comes up with a little thing and he clicks it. And then like a Russian hacker, I take over this tablet, set him up on this Zoom choir meeting, and it's like a little boy running into primary school, not looking back from mum.
Do that. You're the tablet takeover guru.
That's a minute. So he's talking to me. He's like, "Hi, Lucy. How's it going?" The minute he sees his friends on choir, just hangs up. Mid-sentence. Thank you so much. Look.
You have control of this tablet. Wow. Yeah. How do you do that then?
Well, you can do it through Zoom, but the thing is getting him to get on Zoom. So it's a little app called Quick Support. So I cleaned off everything off the front of the tablet. So I've put a little sticker at the bottom of the tablet where he presses the circle to clear the desktop. So I'm like, right, press the middle button. He's like, I've pressed it. And I'm like, because it just blank. And there's just one icon right in the middle of the screen. And I'm like, right, press Quick Support, presses it. And then from then on, I just take over everything.
Yeah, my mum doesn't want to Zoom. I mean, to be honest, the only thing I'd like her to be able to do is FaceTime. That's it.
Yeah.
Just so I can see.
So I put WhatsApp on there so that he can WhatsApp face with his family and stuff.
That's really interesting about to see my mum. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. That's brilliant. I might not go up there now. No. I am. Apparently, it's all like going north. It's coming down south. That's a bit hairy, and everybody's like, "Oh, let's go down south for a little holiday with our caravan." Hello. Welcome to all the caravan on Sandy Bay, which is a big caravan park near where I live. That's opening tomorrow. So like, wow, it's going to be nuts, isn't it? Loads of people.
But do you think people will still go out and about? Because, or do you think people will be a bit like, no, I'd rather be a bit more cautious?
I think there will be some, like me. I'm not bothered about going pubbing. And then there'll be some people that think, I just want to go and socialise. So I think there'll be about 50-50, actually, probably. Although I went around the shops this morning and briefly, there was hardly anybody out, really. So, and then I went to another shop and it was teeming with bodies. I think you want to walk around with like a tape measure that comes out as you can pull it out and then just kind of walk around like that. Like, oh. Yeah. There's some dagger on the end of it. You can like poke. Sorry, I'm quite dark, aren't I? Really.
Do you remember those old rulers? There would be like a yardstick, you could go around poking people with your yardstick.
It's so antisocial, isn't it? It's so antisocial. So going around like walking around with your, like that. But it'd be a metre soon, won't it? Well, how long's your arm? Is your arm about a metre long? I don't know. One arm? You'd be walking around like that, going hi, like a darling. Exterminator, exterminate. Something like that. Yeah. I am a killer. I'm supposed to kill people. That's why. Known for it. Stone the crows.
I think if you went out with that hat on, you probably have people social distancing quite a bit around.
Yeah. The whole point of this, because there's the character I created called Seducer Medusa, and I kind of did it as part of my final project for the PhD, and it was all about revisioning myths and. Well, Seducer Medusa was anyway about taking a mythological story, a creature, the Gorgon, and saying that actually this was a myth created for people to fear women, or fear sexuality, fear the look of women. And so, no, be careful. And so it's all about when no, she wasn't deadly, because it was a myth. She didn't really could kill anybody. It was all about she's laughing. So it was all about getting people to kind of laugh and enjoy Medusa as a figure of emancipation, really, emancipation and laughter. So yeah, so it's not get out of the way, get out of the way. It's just yeah, so it's about revisioning and also taking a mythical character and creating a clown out of her. So what does she know? And all this, I do all this kind of seduction. Got to be careful with that word seduction, don't you? But seduction, clowning, getting people to wink and pout and all that. Yeah.
Well,
I should be a dating agency.
See, the thing is, Maggie, I know you from you instructing me and it being about me, and Sarah yourself. And when you run the workshops, we see you and it's all about the lessons. But ultimately, we don't actually know anything about you.
Yes.
No, because we've never had that conversation. Well, here we go. Buckle in, everyone.
I'd love to know.
Right, getting comfy. Right.
I was born in the north of England, so I'm a northerner at heart. That's why I'm, go back up north to see mother, though she's not from Yorkshire, originally from Lancashire, the winning side. Oh, it's so old, isn't it? Such a long time ago. The roses. Honestly, you'd think we'd be over it. We won. Anyway, so I was. I was born in Lancashire, and about the age of 8, I said to my friend, I said, I want to be an actor. And she said, you can't be an actor. Everybody wants to be an actor. And I thought, well, I want to be an actor. Anyway, by the time we got to sort of secondary, you go to the those people that come in and these careers. That's right, the careers. I said, I want to be an actor. And it was like saying that I want to be an astronaut. That's what it was in those. Yeah. An astronaut. You're a typist or a nurse or a journalist or a teacher. Those were kind of thing. Acting wasn't on the list, unfortunately. So I kind of looked at how do I become an actor? And you had to go to acting schools like RADA and LAMDA, and they were really expensive. And I mean, members of my family went to university, but acting kind of wasn't on the list. So anyway, I went to work, and quite young, I was 16, I went to work, and about a year later I met my future husband, because in those days you got married pretty early. You went to university and got a career, you got married. Can't believe that people did that. Anyway, they did, and I was one of them. So I got married at 19, and I got married a Royal Marine Commando. Oh yeah. And we moved down south to Exmouth.
Right.
I'm going to make this a bit shorter. Anywho, so I joined a theatre company. No, I didn't. Exmouth Players at that time. But I did all my acting exams externally with LAMDA and Guildhall for the licentiate acting diploma. And then I ran a theatre company with another chap. We owned our own theatre company in Exeter. So it was a semi-professional company. So 10 years of that, and from 87 to 97. Then I had my kids, another production. And then as my last son was just about to start preschool or play school, I went to this course, just by a random course called New Directions for Women. And it was for women who had the kids and they didn't know what to do. Should I go into education? Should I work? And I rolled upon this course. It was a 10-week course. And you kind of do all the research. Where am I now? What do I want out of life? And I wrote this thing, and it said, what do you really like doing? What gives you I said, I like teaching and I like making people laugh. And I wrote that not thinking I'm going to be a comedy teacher. I just kind of wrote that because that's the two things I knew I loved doing. And I thought, well, I'll go and be a drama teacher in a secondary school. So I did a degree and then I did a PGCE. But here we go. On the second module of the Theatre and Performance Drama degree at Plymouth University is a module called Clowning. And I took to it like, this is great. And the reason I think it was so good, and I think it's so good that women come and do clowning, especially with me. But the reason, but seriously, is that it absolutely coincided with me starting to get divorced.
Oh.
And that emancipation from marriage or from a relationship when I know he was a good chat, but it was a kind of you're never quite so free when you're on your own. And going to university, this is this amazing space where you're encouraged to experiment, to ask questions, to do different things. So there's suddenly this opportunity to go a bit kind of go a bit mad. And I don't mean mad like, put me in a straitjacket mad. I just mean not be the kind of middle class, happily married woman that I was.
I don't think you mean madness. I think you mean freedom.
Yes,
free.
I ended up doing this, and in my dissertation for my BA, I thought, I'll look at women who clown, other women who clown, because I was really into this topic by then. Anyway, I went through all the kind of books on clowns, written by clowns, especially academic books, and there was hardly any mention of women, hardly, and it was like we didn't exist. I was going like, wow, that's a bit weird. Where are all the women? There were women that clowned, but we weren't mentioned, or very little. As a kind of couple. And so I thought, I might take this further. Anyway, long story. I did the PGCE, then I got funded to do an MA, and then I got funded to do a PhD, a practices research, it's called PhD, on becoming a female clown. So the whole of my PhD charts the whole journey into the world of clowning. It charts different clowns I created. It charts the training I did. It charts the rationale I did. And the final clown I created, which was Seducer Medusa. So then, in fact, the thing was actually in 2011, which was like 2 years before I really finished writing up, I thought, I think this clowning's really good. I wonder if any other women would like to do this. So I joined, it was called the Women in Business Network, and it was literally business women meeting in a swanky hotel in Exeter, and you all do a minute. I am a solicitor, and I can help you with all your divorce or business, blah blah blah, whatever it was. I am a what else was there? I am a fashion designer. I can help you look absolutely fantastic from top to toe, blah, blah, blah. Or what else was there? Ooh. Anyway, you get my drift. So these women, they're doing, and then I stood up and went, hello, I'm Maggie Irving. I'm doing a PhD on what is to be a clown. And I encourage women to let go, let the hair down, get a bit ridiculous, feel free and be funny. That's what I do. And out of about 18 women, 12 of these women came and did the Maggie Irving clowning for business. And then I went to Christchurch, same group, same organization in Christchurch. And they say you do business with people you know and you trust. No, I trust our clown. No, I'm joking. I went to and there were 32 women at this, again, fantastic hotel, all standing up doing like, I'm a physiotherapist. I can sort out your bones and your back and your pain in the arse and your neck and blah, 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 blah. All these amazing women doing amazing business propositions. So, all right, I'm Maggie Irving. I did actually talk normally. So yeah, and again, the same spiel. I can help you kind of come out yourself, get free, get open, get silly, get funny. And out of 32 women, 25 women went, please take me. I'm like, whoa. So it was extraordinary. That was the kind of the beginnings. But then I had to go back and finish doing the PhD and writing up. And so a few years later, and then I went to work in a school. And I kept thinking, why am I working in a school? Why am I not taking this? Why am I not following the dream of teaching and helping people with comedy? That's what I love. I absolutely love it. Bang. So I came out of the teaching and I started doing this sort, teaching comedy, teaching clowning mainly to start with. It's quite difficult selling clowning, unfortunately, because people always think like big red noses and big shoes and big hair. So they always think of circuses, you know, not that there's anything wrong with circus, but what I did, one of my raison d'etre was to take the clown out of any theatre, out of any kind of regular setting. I mean, I turned up a business meeting like this. Hello, everyone. It was about really trying to encourage other people not to feel more free.
Well, can I ask you? I don't want to interrupt your flow because this is so brilliant, and so interesting.
Any donkeys in the whole world, fire away.
But I'm interested. It's like, isn't it interesting that so many women felt the need to feel free? Because I got that as well. Like, I'm 47 now, but I remember when I started doing comedy, I was 35 when I started doing, you know, having the guts to get out there and try doing stand-up comedy. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it is I felt very hemmed in by society and what was expected of me. I think by that age, you expect it. Society, it feels very much like society expects you to be married, expects you to have kids. And I'm like, well, I'm not either of those things. I didn't really want to have kids. My sister had a child when she was 16 and I was 11, and I looked after her a lot. So I know what it's, you know, even just a little bit, I know how hard it is to be a mum. And I was always like, I don't want to be, you know, and a lot of my friends and people that I know of were single mums. I just thought, I don't want to be a single mum. So I'd, you know, unless I'm absolutely sure I'm with someone that's going to stay, which is like, how sure can you be? So, but I just felt very hemmed in, and it's interesting to me that so many women when I want to do this.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because but you know, we live in a patriarchal society. We can't get away from that. It's still a patriarchal society. And even just recently, you know, we've got the Me Too, you know, comedy circuit thing going on, haven't we, really? And without the Me Too stand-up comedy outings, you know, and it would carry on. So if you think about, and then one of the things actually, and actually don't think it's getting any better, because when I came into clowning in 2002, I watched the clowns from university do their final performance, and they were wild, they were nuts, it was like outrageous, it was great. I took my two sons to see the clown performances, and they must have been like 5 and 7. They were really young, and these clowns were really naughty. And I turned to them as going like, well, on stage, things can happen on stage, but it can't necessarily happen in everyday life. And I take them every year to see the clowns and say the same mantra. So they kind of saw clowns from a very young age. I remember going to see a Commedia dell'arte production of Romeo and Juliet, and these were second year performance, the whole year production, and they squeezed out every nuance of double entendre. It was rude. And I didn't know they'd done this. And so my two sons with me, and at one point there's this, is it a prophylactic, you know?
Yeah.
It was flying across the stage. And one of my sons going like, what's that? And I'm going like, I'll tell you after. And then something really weird. Going, what are you doing? And I'm going like, I'll tell you after. It was like two productions, the one on stage and me trying to tell the children, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
Hands clapped up. But you know, I just, you know, but I think it was a really, we're all very funny in our house. Wow, I've just digressed. Hang on a minute. Oh yes, so very rude. No, so shift on, you know, I'm just under 10 years down the line, and I'm teaching clowning at Plymouth University. And I noticed that the young women especially were really closed down. I was thinking, what on earth? I mean, after maybe two weeks with me, maybe 3 max, they'd like, woof. Oh, thank God I don't have to behave anymore. But what had happened is the social media popped up. And this idea, look like this, talk like this, be like this. And I think it's obviously positive in lots of ways, especially for doing things like, you know, the outing of the Me Too, all that has been really beneficial for women. But I think in terms of women being judged, I think it's actually been quite destructive. And there must be some kind of research on this. But I did notice it in the classes. And did quite a lot of research on what women laugh at and what men laugh at. And if you go back into the sort of the 90s research, I think it was looking at my books up there. That's Francis Gray. And women, women laughed at women, but when they were with a man, they looked at the man to see if they also laughed. So they were always kind of tempering themselves. Not always, not all women, but there's this kind of judgment. And then if you go back pre-2000, perhaps only the 90s or maybe 80s, there was this common line of, well, women aren't funny, are they? You know, no. No, we're not. Bugger. So, but we've had to overcome all this. And then, back in 2004, I did as when I was doing my BA. This was, I did some research on how many women were in Edinburgh, and there was like the tiny percentage were women, tiny. So if you think of all the barriers out there were hardly any women out there. The promoters weren't putting women on stage, and if they did, they were like maybe one woman. The TV program, the shows on the TV, they were dominated by men. There weren't very many women at Edinburgh. So the women, I mean, Joe Brown said you had to be twice as tough as the men, twice as tough. And I think actually that probably still applies in lots of jobs still. But for comedy, twice as tough. And Jo Brand put up with a hell of a lot. I mean, to me, she's one of she is one of my absolute favorite comedians because, you know, she was back in the 90s, she was delivering material like on sanitary pads and menstruation and all the stuff that, you know, when I was growing, it was like, oh, don't tell your father about your sanitary pads, because that's how it was. Because that generation was like, we weren't supposed to talk about those things. And so we were brought up with a bit of shame, weren't we?
Yeah.
Shame. Or feeling dirty. These are kind of the language that, and we've had to kind of get past all that and actually think this isn't shame. This is absolutely normal. It's normal to bleed. Stop making us feel that it's wrong. So we've had to put up with a lot. So your women are coming. I mean, I'm not sure about the younger kind of, but even coming out of university, there was that level. There's still perhaps more blokes coming out of university than women. When I was teaching at Winchester University, is it last year? Yeah, last year. There was a lot more men in the classes than there were in the stand-up comedy classes than the women. When I was teaching clowning, it was a 50-50. And I would say actually now when I'm teaching, there's probably more women. And I was talking to other clown teachers. There's more women now coming to these classes than men. So there's this desire to gain some freedom. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's quite painful. So, you know, sometimes people cry in my classes, not because they're sad. It's just that there's this letting go of those boundaries. It's like one woman said to me, I haven't played since I was a young girl. You know, I'm crying. And another woman came to my class and she said, I haven't told my husband where I am. I says, what do you mean you haven't told your husband where you are? Well, if I said I'd gone to a clown class, he said, well, what do you want to go and do that for? I said, well, where does he think you are? She says, he thinks I'm out shopping. Because, like, I think a funny woman who's funny and sexual is quite threatening to some.
But why? I don't understand why.
I'll tell you why. Because when you're a comedian, when you stand up on stage, you have a lot of power. When you make people laugh, you got them in your hand there. There we are. Thank you very much. And then you can begin. Once you got that laugh, 12 seconds in, folks. I don't say 30, I say 12. You're really powerful. And when I started out in this business, I'd sit there. I'd stand there, and I'd see. I'd look at the audience, obviously, and I'd see people laughing, and then I'd often see men sitting there with their arms are folded and their legs are crossed, because that's a bit out of their comfort zone. And it's not a criticism of men. It's just like, wow. I guess with the clown as well, you never know quite what they're going to do, because they are traditionally known as boundary breakers. I always think, never insult your audience. That's me, you know. Make yourself full. But there's always that danger something might go wrong. In fact, when I'm performing, I always look at the audience and I see the whole audience as clowns. It's like, I know I talk about mirroring. The audience mirror back you on stage. And so you suddenly see people going, oh, going like, oh my God, we got the clowns inside. I don't say that, but it's really beautiful. It's like you're seeing all this freedom. It was just so beautiful. So I do think we're still caught up, Sarah, with those feelings of there not really being an equal playing field.
Yeah, I think it's like far from equal, and you don't even realize it until it's like, I remember vividly the very first time, well, the second time I went to see Take That in concert, because I went with two of my friends. We went to Cardiff and we were like, let's make a day of it. So we all took a day off and we went to go have food first. And we've gone into Cardiff and there were just women everywhere. It was like the world's biggest hen party. And I know that sounds horrific to a lot of people, but to me, it was like, oh my God, the boys get this all the time. Anytime they go to football, they get this. They can have this every weekend. We don't get it. We don't get, everyone was wearing t-shirts, Take That t-shirts, or, you know, their own custom made t-shirts. The women were just hanging out, having fun, enjoying themselves. And suddenly I just went, oh, relax. You look around and you know what you've got, and you're in a group of women all just enjoying. You haven't got some bloke trying to chat you up. You haven't got someone even just looking you up and down. You haven't got, or being an idiot. The blokes that were there were just Take That fans. You know, it was just fantastic. It was just like, oh, this is amazing. But really, and it was phenomenal.
It's really interesting because when I was bringing up my child when he was small, I hung out with other women who had very small children as well. So it was a nice network there. But when I came out of being mum and started to go into business, I realised that men in business, they've got the cricket club, they've got the golf course, maybe the football, the rugby, the masons, or all these different little areas where the golf course especially, where they can do business and play.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about where do women do business and play? Where do they?
I think for me, at most, it's coffee shop on a Saturday where I go and meet with my friend and we have a bit of a natter, but it's not somewhere for business. It's not really play.
But we've got better at it, because I know there's lots of women's business groups that have popped up over the last few years. So women are networking with women. And I think when they're at their best, when they network, that is fantastic. So it has grown, but these kind of natural playgrounds that men have had, but they can strike a deal, while they're having a wee, is just like, can you imagine the girls' cubicle, the women's cubicle, going like, what do you think? Then I don't know. Just hang on a minute, Russell. Yeah, bit shit, innit?
We've got any toilet paper?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Jo Brand said you have to work twice as hard, and she was absolutely right. I do think you have to work pretty hard to get the kind of recognition and the kudos. So I admire anybody. I mean, I teach in school still, and my one of my big mantras is that I take my hat off to anybody who stands on a stage, anybody who stands up in front of anybody else. Chapeau. Because you're open and vulnerable, and especially with comedy, it might not work. And that's why, come to my classes, I say, I'm not interested in you being funny, because it's about expressing what's going on in your heart, telling me what you think of something. Then let's see how we might make that amusing. It might come out funny anyway. Great. But actually, if it doesn't, it still matters to people. So how do we then make it funny? So that's really important. And quite often, and this still happens actually, Sarah, there's women, there's young girls, young teenage girls, Miss, do we have to perform in front of everybody? And I look at them and I think, if I say, no, you don't, I'm saying to them, you should be afraid.
Yeah.
You should be afraid, because it's scary. And so I really encourage them. Like, you're just as important. You're just as good and crazy as everybody in there. And I want to see what you can do. You're going to be fabulous. I'll look after you. Be all safe. Everybody. And I always do a bit of a spiel before they perform. Consequences if you're mean, not being mean. Blah, 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 blah. And then they do their performance. And I think, wow, that was fantastic. Just think if I said no. You're telling people to be scared. So I really encourage people to have a go. And a long time ago, back along early 2000, I went to this stand-up comedy event in London. It was a comedy event. It wasn't stand-up comedy, it was a comedy event in London. I can't remember what it was called now. And there was a bunch of really well-known comedians. These are all men. And I said, why do you think there aren't as many women on the comedy circuit? And he went, and he was actually a nice bloke. Can't remember his name. Well-known, forgotten who he is.
They all look alike, to be honest.
And he said, well, the thing is, and I'm not, this is anecdotal stuff. So, nothing proven scientifically. And I certainly didn't do any questioning with women. But he said, if a woman gets on stage and she's not funny, she blames herself. Oh, I'm no good at this. If a man gets on stage, he blames the audience. And actually, both of them are wrong. See, both of them, your material needs tweaking. It needs editing. Your timing was out. You didn't do the punchline fast enough. It's nothing about being bad. It's about them needing to do something with the material. That's it. There was a woman, I went to see the stand-up performance in Exeter many years ago, and the compere said, oh, tonight we've got someone from Scotland, some Ireland, and we've got Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Woo! Ooh. So the Welsh man came on, and I apologise. I just can't think. How do you speak Welsh? Apologies to the Welsh. He's very Welsh, and he was going something blah, 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 from the valleys, blah, 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 very, very Welsh. And then I come from Pakistan. Yeah. Anyway, so he did his fantastic. He was really funny. He did his bit, and he was very Welsh. Brilliant. And then he said, "Oh, well, welcome, Shanine McDaird." Hello, everybody. I'm from South London, and we were all going. But you've just been introduced as Irish, and she died. And she died because she kind of was like set up to die, or she set herself up to die. She should have said, don't, she should have said like, I'm from South London, but I'm from Ireland, but don't tell anybody because I don't want to get blown up, do I? You know what I mean? She should have done something that referenced the fact that she was speaking with a very clear South London accent. And within three and a half minutes, she said, that's all me finished. And she left. And I just thought, I want you to go. I said, you need to make sure they don't introduce you like that, because you died before. You died as soon as you said, hello, everybody, she died. So it wasn't that she wasn't funny. It's that she just needed to attend how she framed her material. Mm-hmm.
But you always say to make a point of if something goes wrong, point it out, make a joke out of it.
Yeah, but if you need an experience to do that, don't you? You know what I mean? You need to know. I would say yes, because it took me probably 6 years, 7 years to be able to do that with absolute ease. Do you know what I mean? Someone said to me, it took about 7 years to become a clown. I went, 7 years? And you have to die a few times in the process. So I've died. I've done one show's great. The next time I did the same show, rubbish. So not because I was rubbish, because I wasn't in the zone. I was thinking of the other people on stage with me and not what I should be doing. So there's always reasons why things go wrong, and to be reflective and not beat yourself up. But to get to the point where, it's all going horribly wrong and you're making it into something really successful. Now that's fantastic. And that's why I love teaching the idea of clowning, because it's not just a skill for a stage performance. It's a skill to use for life. And that's why I love getting people through that fear, because it is fear. We don't want to look stupid, do we?
No.
And this young girl, she was 19 when I was 40, she said, why do you want to be a clown? She was thinking it was the last thing in the whole wide world that she'd want to be. But I guess when you're 20, you kind of want to look gorgeous, don't you? Gorgeous, not all 20-year-olds, but she did. Now, maybe I did too, but I think when you get to
noticed when I taught secondary school. I said when I taught secondary school, so 11 years and up, they were already hitting the ground with hairspray, hair product, getting up an hour early to do their hair. The tears and the tantrums if I got them to take their makeup off, because quite frankly, electric blue eyeshadow is not natural. And they're crying, I can't leave the house without it. And I'm thinking, I've got bras older than you, love. But they have this thing where they hold the hands, jumpers over their hands. Everything's over their hands like this. They're all very intimate. You ask them to
How long ago was that, Lucy?
They're so self-conscious, aren't they?
2004, I did my PGCE. So I talked about 8-9 years.
So it's not long ago.
Not long ago. And you'd sort of, even if you said to everyone, right, guys, hands up, what's 1 + 1? The girls would die inside. If you go, Mary, do you know?
I know.
God. Oh my God.
So, you know, that, Lucy, I hate to say this, but it hasn't gone away.
No, I'd say it's worse.
So
I mean, if you look at the way the magazines, you know, if I walk outside and I was a paparazzi there, either I'm overdressed for doing something or I'm underdressed for doing something. I'm too thin, so I must be ill. I'm too fat, so I must be depressed. There's something for, and of course they'll do that shuttergun photo where they take 50 pictures in a second. Looks nice, looks nice, looks nice, looks horrible. We'll go with this one.
Yeah.
You know, even with one of the comedians that stood forward recently about being harassed by a male comedian, to make you know, they made it sound like this poor girl had this terrible thing, and they picked the shittiest fucking picture of her. They didn't even use a comedy headshot, the pricks. But there's such an attack on how women look, and I think that makes them stop wanting to look silly. And being silly is free.
Well, I mean, again, it's in my PhD. I did a bunch of research. Excuse me, and there was one person did research on clowning in other cultures, and it is about sexual availability for lots of people. That when we get past that point of, it was about looking at Korean women, that they get to a point where they're no longer sexually available, they become funny because they don't have to. And I think that's probably not far from the truth here. But I think if you can learn to clown when you're really young, I think it kind of stays with you as a tool, as a power tool for life. But again, if women are, if comedy is a weapon, if comedy is seen as a threat, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? But I still think it's worth doing, because I think humor is not only a tool for power, but it's also a tool for healing. And I think someone said, "Oh, write a list of words that you use against yourself or for yourself for the other day." And I thought the only word I ever use is clown. And I mean that in a really warm way. I don't think if I do something wrong, I couldn't get in this afternoon. I was thinking, like, he went, your browser doesn't support StreamYard. I went, oh. Oh, Chrome does. So I downloaded Chrome, but I didn't finish downloading Chrome properly. So you were going like, where the hell are you, bitch? And I'm going, I can't get in at the moment.
That's not the words I used.
I know. I'm just pulling you proverbial. But yeah, I was just going like, oh, clown, you know. I just thought, oh, press the button and you go. And I'm going like, no, you're not coming in here until you've done 3 backflips, a rollover, and climbed up a pole. I was going like, for me, that is so typical of my life. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just like things go wrong when you haven't done them for the first time. Do you know what I mean? And not going like, oh no, God. I just go like, oh, clown.
Yeah.
And one of the things that have come out of COVID-19, listening to some mums and their daughters are they're really stressed and they're really lacking in confidence. In fact, I was due to do a clown workshop at the Phoenix on the 12th of September, actually at the Phoenix in Exeter. But I've decided to go online and do a workshop for women that are feeling a bit shaky with confidence. So if there are any mums out there, any daughters, or even older women, actually it's not just for young, it's anybody that's going like, I could do with a bit of a confidence.
Do this.
So I've changed it. So I just thought people going to university who need to, there was a woman came on my course last week, and she's off to university, really quietly spoken. And she came along, very funny, really great command of language. She just needed to understand how to craft it. And I thought, how wonderful that she came for 1 week with me, and she'll go to university and she'll be able to stand up in front of other people and deliver and look at people and lift words off the page and be funny. And I thought, wow, that is such the right thing to do right now in your life. So it was really exciting. And another woman, she wanted to be a writer, but I said, you have to kind of lift the words off the page and talk, tell us what they're saying. It doesn't matter if you're writing comedy, you still have to hear it, don't you? Unless it's a book where, like Alan Bennett, he writes funny stories about stuff that's happened. So he's still describing that character. You still hear that voice, don't you? And you always hear Alan Bennett's voice.
And what's interesting with Alan Bennett is I've noticed that whoever's performing it, they always go, oh, Patricia Routledge, she's amazing. It's not just Alan Bennett's writing's amazing. Like if you compare like Harry Potter, everyone always says, oh, J.K. Rowling is amazing. They rarely talk about the actors. But with the Alan Bennett stuff, it's always, oh, Patricia Routledge or Imelda Staunton recently just made it on. They were like, the way they performed, so good.
Fantastic, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And fantastic was these long pauses. I've done a lot of work of the last 14 weeks, whatever we've been on camera work. A lot of work with the camera about holding that look. And Imelda Staunton, shit's like,
we're looking.
I'm going like, yes, hold it. I'm going like, yes, hold it. Yes, you've hold it. Yes. I've become this kind of comedy director of all things on to in my class. I'm going like, don't put your head down when you finish the line. I'm going like, hold it. You put your head down. You're killing it. Put your head up. I'm going like, fantastic.
I actually had a comedian who's living in France get in touch with me and ask me to share some of my tips for performing online, because and a lot of it's down with the help that you provided me, and I was very lucky to workshop very early on with my classmates about what I can do and what I can't do. So like when I've got a line out, I've got a knife under my pillow, I've always sort of, and you'll be right. And there's sort of the leaning in, the leaning out. You can't go here and here, although I do like to move around the stage.
I know,
but you can't move. We're on. Catch the act.
My God, I'm on a boat. Oh,
reenacting that Jaws scene.
She's on a cruise liner with very, very poor stability.
But she said when she does her stand-up, she feels like she's reading a book review to her year 8s. So I said, well, of course, because you are. And it didn't take more than that for her to go, oh, yeah. And I was like, right, where are you sat? And she'd sort of, because she lived with a partner, even though he didn't have any problems with her doing her performance online inside, she'd put herself in the corner and she was low down, even though she had a mic that fitted to her lapel, which didn't mean she had to be there. She still had, she had put herself like in a comedy cage, like a little comedy jail. I need to be down here. I can't move. I need to be there. And I said, right, can you stand up? What do you mean? I said, well, have you got it?
You can't say that's a bit rude.
You've got legs, but is your microphone on your laptop strong enough to capture your voice? And she went, oh yeah, it attaches. It's here. I was like, well, so you don't have to be.
Was she like there? That's a bit weird.
She's there.
That's a bit too
Hello,
weird.
Man walks into a bar. Ow. And I was like, so when you talk about driving around the Parafique and how everyone's insane, I said, so you're not holding the microphone. You could go insane. And she went, I've got arms, haven't I? And she knew everything she needed.
She could even do this, couldn't she? I'm going insane.
Exactly. And she sort of worked out that she's she worked out that she had somewhere she could put her laptop that was high up. She even worked out she's got a projector. She could project the words that she's reading off the wall to stop her reading them down here. She had everything she needed to use. And I didn't really tell her anything. I just sort of said everything she said back to her. And I went, why? Oh, yeah. Why are you doing that?
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. That was just like getting a bit warm with a hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to learn it, don't you? You have to experiment with whatever your material is. And I say, like, why don't you just record yourself? Record. Yeah. And then be the director and the producer, and and you can do it like that. Or you can come to me.
Yeah. Well, we've both come to you, Maggie. And we both fully recommend it.
Humbled, actually, by your trust in. I'm very humbled. I'm always thrilled to have people come on a one-to-one. I get a lot out of it, actually.
No, so did we. Oh, Lucy, I think you're mute, Lucy. We can't hear you.
That's funny, isn't it? I give some instructions.
Testing.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, I paid a lot of money for this microphone. Lot of money for this, and if the cable moves even a centimetre, like in the wire, it cuts out. So I need to look to see if I can send it back. Great.
Oh.
But it's difficult to explain how somebody can improve your comedy, because, like you say, you're a doctor of clowning, and there's quite a few
I've lost you. What did you say? I'm losing you, Lucy. Lost you, Lucy.
Oh, no. It's the first time I've seen Lucy's mic not be that great, to be honest, because it's normally brilliant.
It could be internet.
The mic. I've unplugged the mic. I might have to get in touch and say, no offense, mate, but if this doesn't work all the time, then it's not good enough. But there's a lot of male comedians who are advertising their courses, and all they've got behind them is years of experience, and not even years of success and experience, just years of experience, because there's different layers. Just because you've been doing something for a long time,
just because you've got years of experience and you can write comedy and you know what to do, it doesn't make you a good teacher. I've been to a lot of teachers a long time ago, way before I got to this level, and there was the male teachers were really bad. And these, I'm not going to name any names, but they didn't know how to teach. Oh, that's no good. That's no good. They kind of what's called tell them what they're really bad. And I think that's a shocking way to teach people. In fact, I almost feel like saying, you really should not be teaching people like that. You tell people what they're doing well. That's what I do. But you get and actually, to be honest, I don't even think they really taught anybody about what the comedy techniques were. The techniques of comedy. Yeah. Nobody ever mentioned any techniques of comedy, which is what I know inside out, back to front, because for years of doing it and learning it and doing it and failing and doing it and learning and failing, blah, 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 to get to the point where it's so in my head. It's just like, but I don't blame people thinking I've got no money coming in. I'll go and teach. I don't blame them for doing that, because everybody's trying to make a crust. I get it. I just know what I do is. I think what I do is good. I know what I do is good, and it's not just about writing it. It's about giving people confidence to get up and do it, and then also take a few risks as well. I think as a clown you take risks, and I think to learn that actually is all. To think, oh, this is how far I've got now. This is good. I'm happy to be here. And then to take the step out of that and to say yes, to have a go, and to build up that body of knowledge. And then you end up sort of like I was in the Two Ronnies world or the Victoria Wood. Victoria Wood is super duper talented, because not only she was a fantastic stand-up comedian, she created great characters which had real body, which we listened to, and they were multi-layered. Because a comedy character is usually two-dimensional. What's their flaws? Bag of flaws, loads of exaggeration, a certain amount of the humanity of a. We don't need to like them. Even the Joker in Batman, Heath Ledger. We thought he stole the show. Absolute psychopathic killer. Sewed up bombs into people's bodies. And then we were like, why? Freaking smile on his face. And that's that scene in it where he blows up the hospital. And then he's he's back to the camera and he's got these big high-heeled shoes on his ill-fitting frock and he's walking like, the man dressed in a frock. We laugh. Just gets away. So building those layers of characters, how he still likes somebody that is flawed, I think it's genius. And I think Victoria Wood was especially good at it. There's lots of other, the Drop the Dead Donkey, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
The Fast Show, fantastic characters. So there's been loads and loads of shows with these amazing characters on them. And I love them.
I think with Victoria Wood as well, I think in terms of a perfect sitcom, Dinner Ladies is it's got to be, it's never on any list or that I'm aware of. It's always The Office makes the top of the list. But Dinner Ladies was perfect from beginning to end. There's not one, for my money, there's not one single bad episode, the whole thing. And she was so generous because she didn't give herself she never had the best part. It was always everyone around her. They were just so funny.
Yeah. She was a genius. I was extraordinarily cut up when she died.
Oh, yeah. She was so young. She was, what, 62? 62. That's ridiculously young.
Yeah. Just think of the writers that are coming up with those comedy characters, the stand-up comedians who are delivering characters like that and that quantity. There's Jennifer Saunders and Dawn French, but they're not kind of doing that and so much just lately, are they? I think
not as much.
Dawn French has kind of broken away, and of course they had Ab Fab, which was Jennifer Saunders. Outrageous women, fantastically funny women. So I do like comedy. I like the comedy character world as well as the stand-up, and I like the fact that Victoria would she'd be doing a stand-up comedy, and then I was watching the other day, she talks about going into a store. You go into these big stores like John Lewis, and there's the handbags, and she does a little bit about handbags and wearing tights and stuff, and then she goes to the makeup counter as well, and it's Madeline, isn't it? Madeline, and then she just goes 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the world of Sacha Rel.
Oh, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to? And she just is fantastic, trying to get people to come and try the makeup, and then she's got this very, very pseudo posh voice going on there, and then she gets more and more cross. Well, you get your asses over here and get some crap on. It's just like fun, that kind of. But it's what I mean about those layers. She layers this kind of inspiration and vulnerability of the woman that just needs someone to come and have a makeup demo. It's just bloody genius.
And that was my favorite stand-up, that Sacha Ray, and I think it might even have been an audience with that she did that.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
And it's genius. It really is. She's superb.
On stage with her peers, her comedy peers, wasn't she? Dave Allen and Dawn French. It was.
The audience with, it's on YouTube in its full entirety. I've only watched it 2 weeks ago because that's the kind of stuff I watch.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I love Victoria Wood is As Seen on TV. And Susie Blake is the continuity announcer who just sort of goes, and apologies to our viewers in the north. I hear it's awful up there.
I Victoria Wood. There's a museum there. I keep when I got to my mum's, I think I must go down to Bury and see the Victoria Wood. Just because you can.
But I made a male comedian in America watch that Susie Blake clip, the apologies to our viewers in the north, and it inspired him to write another comedy scene for something else he was working on. So like Victoria Wood reaches out no matter where she is. She's still good. I mean, her. Yeah,
she did something
I saw an interview.
Dawn French did a series of interviews with female comedians. And I remember watching this one with Victoria Wood, and she was really serious at this point. She said, "I'm 50 now, and I wonder if comedy is for women under 50." Sort of, that's paraphrasing. And I've never stopped thinking about that. So one of the things that I really would like to do, and, you know, come on board, is get more older women, anybody over the age of 48, doing comedy, because I think we've got so much to say, but we're put on the scrap heap. We're no longer, we got pushed off the television. We will no longer be TV presenters. We were no longer presenting shows, blah, 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 and getting more older women doing comedy. I think they're not really tended to for me. And I have a lot of women that come to my classes, and they are older women. And I think like to kind of, get that going from that. That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
I posted the other day, I don't know. I was just say I posted the other day the Amy Schumer sketch, Your Last Fuckable Day. It is brilliant. All the American actresses that have reached that age where they're no longer the mistress, they're the tired mother of 3.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One positive thing is, like, today now, Maggie, we've been going on to TikTok. We've got to learn about all these other different types of social media. And on TikTok, I noticed, I don't know if anyone else out there has been on there, but there is one that I've noticed. There's this grandma, and she's as old as the hills, but I love it because she's like, clearly there's someone else that's helping her with these videos, but it's her, and she's got one how to put alcohol in Capri Sun. So she's, syringing the alcohol out of the vodka, putting it in the Capri Sun, and then using a lighter to seal the hole. And she's like, "There you go. You can just go anywhere, get pissed, and no one will know." And I'm just like, "Oh, brilliant! I want to see more of that." And she's like proper, like she's about 90. She's really wrinkly, and I'm like, fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. I think I've always thought it would be really good to have the news read by, all right. Today it's a bad day. It's right bad. It's bad news. Listen to the bad news, and then I'll tell you some good news. My God, there isn't pubs. Pubs are all right. I saw a man lying down in the street. 3 policemen, and they weren't social distancing, these police, and they were there over him. And the man was lying there on the floor. Could see that far too many whiskeys. I don't know. Anyway, on to some serious news. Now, Boris Johnson's doing press ups. Did you know that? Press ups. He's just one frigging press up. I can tell you, I can do more than double that. I bet both of them double them. I just like this idea. And then now for the weather. Oh God, you need your Macintosh. I'm going to put my bikini on tomorrow because it's going to be really hot, and I know I'm going to be hot in the bikini. I know. I don't think you'd think I am, but I am. I don't know. I kind of like this idea of having a newsreader that women. I don't mean a Mickey take. I mean a proper. They used to do it on Steve Right in the Afternoon. They used to call her old woman, I think.
Oh yeah,
old woman. And I kind of like this old woman, proper old woman, but but her really owning it, and not all done up. You've got loose women on the television, and they're all kind of done up.
I don't get the bile about loose women.
Some proper loose,
Yeah.
I only did my eyebrows because I was Medusa, but I wouldn't normally look. That was ridiculous. Anyway.
No, it doesn't. It looks great. Can I just say, sorry, Ray, lovely to have you back. We missed you last time. Ray is a regular of ours, Maggie. Generally, on a Thursday, he's normally awake by 5 p.m. And we start at 3:30. But it's very nice to have you back, Ray.
Yeah,
and I'd agree with that. Catherine Tate's nan reading the news. Yeah, it'd be hilarious. It'd be really good.
So, I know you've become quite a tour de force, haven't you, with Smashing It? So I'd be really interested to kind of perhaps get some ideas going. I am a very big ideas woman, and I kind of like collaboration as well. So yeah, let me know. We were supposed to speak earlier in the week, but I just got disappeared down.
Got in the way.
Of work this week, and I'm trying to good grief, I need to go. So yeah, it feels great not to go to work.
I just would love love to somehow crack it that maybe testimonials and maybe some sort of campaign, but the skills that you impart with the people that you work with, they're so difficult to explain because it's not an MC course. It's not a writing course. You helped me, and I'm sure Sarah will agree with this. You helped me on my writing, on my content, my context, my delivery, my persona. You help in so many different ways. It's even just when you say, right, stop, look away, and then look back at the camera on that one. And then you'll say, well, you've written this. How can you make that, push it? How can you make that further? You never stop your student. You never put them in a box creatively. If they say something outlandish, you make them be even more outlandish. If you make them say something flippant, push them to say something even more. You're a catalyst in so many different ways. It really is just trying to work out how to describe you on the box.
It's really you say that actually, because there's a woman. I did a one-day comedy course. It was writing characters last Saturday. It was fantastic. Even though I delivered it, it was a fantastic day. And because these women
I had a wonderful time.
But this woman said to me, I don't get it. I write far, far more with you. I don't get it. And I've come up with all this material. I said, how do you do it?
Yeah.
It's magic.
But it's almost like having permission as well.
Yeah, it's about permission. It's about you can't, and I think that's why I always say don't try to be funny. It's about, if you get it coming from here, really annoys me. So I'm so excited. Then people start to thrive, and then I'm listening. I'm very good at listening and watching, and I notice everything. So it's a whole gamut of skills that I've built up from, and I do put it down to being a clown. I absolutely, because the clown thinks and looks at the world very differently, and that's what I've been doing.
You can take that, because I've got a new theory I'm working on at the moment, and I don't know whether you've seen. I want to make sure I get the name right as well. So it wasn't just because of this, but the TED talk that was posted recently about the not saying sorry anymore. I'm never ever going to be put in a situation where anybody with gender identity issues thinks I'm mocking them, but I am trying to be more male.
Okay.
In my attitude, or in my wants, in my asking of.
What do you mean by that?
Do you asking Sarah? Right. So
what does that mean for you?
Right. So I saw an opportunity. Somebody was asking for people to join their comedy show online the other day, and I thought, oh, I'm way too inexperienced to put myself forward for that. And then I thought, what would a man do? I'll sign up twice. I wanted to be on this show, but when I looked at how long this show was going to be, like 3 hours long, I haven't got 3 hours to give to it. I thought, what would a man do? So I got in touch. I said I can be there between 5 and 5:30, and they went, brilliant. And I think it, instead of thinking, I hope this happens, it happening, and asking for, not being cheeky, not being rude, but just not stopping myself from doing something. And I think that's quite, men aren't ever told, is that for you? Should you be thinking that? Should you be asking that? They're never really told no. It's always, for a man, it's sort of, well, give it a try and see what happens. Whereas a woman is always told to think, is it right for you? Can you fulfill those needs? Have you got what you need? And we put our own brakes on a lot of things. And I don't know how to, with the comedy world, I need to be free.
You should write something on that, really.
I have. I've got the spider diagram. I just haven't put it together.
But I think that reminds me. So when I talk about Victoria Wood, what Victoria Wood does fantastically well, she does material, and the undercurrent has got some really serious message in there.
Yeah.
It's a really serious political message in her material, and it's usually a commentary on society or a commentary on women feeling desperate or trying to please, and I think that is I think we haven't got stopped doing that. And I actually, this idea that you said, what would a man do? That's a really interesting. That's really interesting, Lucy.
I saw a picture. And you go.
Victoria Wood as well.
Together. 3, 2, 1, go together. That's funny. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that I know the last couple of specials, she was furious that it got moved from Christmas Day to Boxing Day and quite late in the evening as well. I think that's where maybe this is more for young people's game came from, because she was furious that she was nudged, and she was like, well, some of these jokes aren't going to work. They have to be Christmas Day. But they had new people. And I remember French and Saunders were like saying about the new people at the BBC at the time. And they were like, yeah, getting moved and in favour of fresher stuff, I guess, or newer stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that,
Go on, Trish.
I wonder if there's another way of expressing that, of what would a man do? Because what is it? Because not all men are that confident.
No, they're very good at they're very good at appearing. They're just as lucky and confident as we are. Someone said, but they hide it better.
But if a man asks for help, they are adulated for being strong enough to ask for help. And if a woman asks for help, she's weak and needs a hand. It's just to be different. You know, if I really enjoyed it recently, and combined with that TED talk of not saying sorry, I think with when you said about freeing women and sort of getting them to be, you know, clownish, getting them to allow themselves to look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? And then watching their faces as they enjoy it.
I don't think it's quite so simple as that, actually, because I don't say women should all look like clownish. I don't think that's empowering. But I think it's about getting people to think, because the clown says yes, and the clown says yes, I can do that. Yes, I'm going to do that. Yep, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I can be an astronaut. Yeah, and the idea of saying yes, and the clown says yes and has an adventure. And I think the clown asks questions. The clown's curious. The clown has a go, and so it's not about going like, I'm not really stupid, because I think that people who are proper clowns, they're proper intelligent. You have to be really bright to be a clown, because you're playing like a stand-up comedian. You're playing. You're highly manipulative. You're manipulating people's emotions. You're manipulating how you use the stage. You're manipulating sound and language. Both same genre, but both styles of comedy, they're both very manipulative. So I think and I think as stand-up comedians, you have to read an audience. You have to take control, command an audience. You can't, even if you come on stage, I mean, Victoria would just go a little bit, she was a little bit, but she knew exactly what she was doing, because as soon as you get people laughing, and goes back, as soon as you get people laughing, you can go like, and now I'm going to do all this material for the rest of the night, and you're going to laugh a lot. So it's how you make. And she was a little bit clowny, Victoria Wood, a little bit too much in her early days, but she had to do it. She had to go down self-deprecation. She had to do it, and then she stopped doing that. But I do like this idea of that. What would a man do? And I think that's a really good thought, actually, about why can we not just say what we want? I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I'm from the north, and I came down to live in the south many years ago, and I actually find so many more ways to actually ask for something. In the north, it was going like, oh, you just be a bit more blunt. You go like, don't really like that. It's not working, is it? Now, let's do it. And just, boom, that's it. Down here, you go like, well, I really wonder, is that, maybe if we thought about it, maybe you could pass mind map. You're all on it, bloody crap. It's crap. But a northerner to a northerner, you can get away with that. You can't really do that so much down here. And I hate to kind of box people in. This is the north and this is the south. It's a generalization. But generally speaking, you've got to be far careful with language. But I'm slightly digressing from what you were saying earlier, Lucy. I love this idea that you said, yeah, that's what I want. I think that's a really, really good way of making it very clear what your boundaries are. What is it that you want, and what are you going to ask for? You don't have to be a man.
I remember you
have to be clear what you want.
But I remember an ex-boyfriend's mother. If she wanted a cup of tea for herself, she couldn't just make herself a cup of tea. She'd have to ask everybody if they'd want a cup of tea first. Or, you know, would you like the ketchup? And then you'd go, no. Would you? Oh, yes, I would. She couldn't say, I want. She could only ask other people and hope that they would ask her back, which must make getting what you want bloody complicated. Ah! You sort of had to pick up on the minute they asked you for something, you had to dive in and help.
They want desire to please, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, accepted to be, not to be rejected. Yeah. I don't know the psychology going on here, but I think it's interesting.
And it could depend on her upbringing, you know, because it depends on her age. If she's like, I don't know, being brought up in the 40s and 50s, like my parents, it was a whole different culture then. You know, you had your elbows off the table, don't spoke unless you're spoken to. And like there's a phrase that my dad used to use all the time: children can be seen and not heard. Which is massively changed now. And I think that could have been applied to women as well, depending on where you were in society. But Maggie, can I just ask, you mentioned books earlier about clowning. Now, I'm really interested in clowning. In the comedy world, a clown won Edinburgh, Dr. Phil Burgess, I think it was, Dr. Brown or Doc Brown. There were two Dr. Browns. One was a rapper and one was a clown. But the clown won Edinburgh. And he became really, you know, suddenly clowning became the thing a few years ago. And I did look around for books on clowning. I couldn't find very much. Are there any that you would recommend?
Depends what you want out of it.
Right. I'm interested in like all I could hear about was that the famous French one, Gaulier.
Gaulier.
I was interested in clowning and how to use it.
I went to Gaulier. I did 4 weeks with him, and I didn't come back with any more skills than when I went. I just came back more determined to do my clowning more.
Right.
I thought he was. He sees the guy that kind of like, oh, that's rubbish. Or Hezbollah, all sorts of kind of really negative stuff. That I'm thinking like, he was the guy that wanted to be funny in the room, the funny man in the room. And I thought, you're funny. You're a very funny man, but you're not really teaching us the skills of clowning. And and it's also, I mean, I write about him in my thesis. Depends what you want. If you want to kind of do it, what do you want out of it, Sarah? That's the trick, because I've got millions of clown books. Angels. It's when you find out I'm just wearing lycra pants, isn't it, really?
Crazy.
A guy called Alan Clay, called Angels Can Fly. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Angels Can Fly.
Angels Can Fly by Alan Clay.
Yeah. There's books by a guy called John Davison. I'm a bit loath to talk about clowns which talk about red noses, because I don't agree with red noses. I think it's not for me at all. So any book that's talking about putting on a little red nose, sorry,
No, I did an intro to clowning course with Holly Stoppett.
Oh yeah,
It was about 5 years ago, and I'm just like, books tend to be where I start. It tends to be where I go when I'm like, I get hyper interested in a subject.
Holly's very much about sort of the therapy of clown, but I think Holly does go with the red nose. But I think you see the trouble with the red nose, you don't go out, do you? And you go, hang on a minute.
No.
You don't, and I think red noses, people start behaving like a clown, and I want people to find their inner clown. I want that. How do they behave when they're kind of in the moment and it's all going horribly wrong? You don't just stick a red nose on and go like, I know what to do. So it's funny. The course I'm doing online on the 12th of September, that was supposed to be a clowning day.
Right.
I thought I'd rather do that in real time. So when we can use space, I'm going to move that and do it so that will be an all women's clowning day. So come to that one if you fancy.
Yes, I'd be very interested in that, please, Maggie.
Yeah, I think that will be, and then you'll get it once you come with me. You'll get it, because I don't have you putting red noses on.
No.
Stuff, and before you know it, you're doing it. It's really beautiful. And sometimes it happens in my stand-up class, because I do put clowning into my stand-up class, but I don't tell people, because I want them to understand about being open and ridiculous and allowing whatever to happen. So it's carefully crafted in.
Yeah.
But I think I did a 1 hour on when the Funny Women in London did a crash course for their first week, only for their first week. Did they ask me to do a 1 hour session? So I did do clowning for that, and using the camera. So and people wrote to me and said that was fantastic. I love that.
Brilliant. Well, do you know what? It's 5:30. We've had you for an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you so much, Maggie. What do you think, Lucy?
What I'm going to say, Maggie, is put all your details. Remember the stuff that you had on the last Funny Women workshop with all your classes, and we will post that on the kitchen sink for our viewers to be able to look at.
I just put my in the, I don't know if anybody can see this, Dr. Maggie and Double. So in there is my website. It's going to be rebuilt at some point, but right now that's what it is. And unfortunately, this is real clown, because it's got the word DR at the front, standing for doctor. Facebook won't let me put anything from my website onto Facebook.
Oh.
I'm going like, that's a freaking clown, isn't it? Tell people on Facebook what you're doing, and you go like, press, you're not allowed to. I'm like, why can't I? Because you've got DR in your name. Right.
You work bloody hard for that.
We're going to let you. I know. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's had a heart attack and they've shouted, "Is there a doctor in the room? Please tell me you cartwheeled behind them."
Yeah.
I did have a heart attack once 3 years ago, and I must admit, this is real. This is bad. I tell you this. Don't do this, folks. If you're having a heart attack, somebody on the shoulder and say, "Could you ring 999? Because I think I'm having a heart attack." What I did, I was thinking, like, I was walking like, I think I'm fucking, and I started to get upset, so I did this. I was going like, I think I'm having a freaking heart attack. Oh God. I think I just better go home. I got home. I went to my neighbour across the road. I went, I think I'm having a heart attack. She said, I think you've got to go to Exeter or RD&E. I went, I don't want to go to RD&E. That's miles away. So I went home. I went, in the end, she came over. She took me to the local hospital and then got an ambulance.
Oh my God.
And my ex-husband, bless him, he worked for Devon Air Ambulance at the time. He said, next time, just call 999. I went, yeah, all right. But I can't believe I was going, I don't look at what is she? But I was in denial. I was denying I was having a heart attack. It's gonna pain in the chest, nausea, pain. That's not good.
Yeah. Have you ever fallen over before now? And been like, have you ever like fallen over and been like trying to get up too quickly and be like, I'm fine. Like bones jutting out of your leg or whatever, you know.
Jennifer Saunders did that.
Yeah.
Jennifer Saunders was wearing a white summer dress. She was walking a dog and she fell and sort of tripped down a hill and she'd hit her head. And she didn't see it. She can't see herself. So she's wearing a white dress and she's got blood pissing out of her head, dripping down there, all over her dress. But there were these young teenage boys near and she didn't want to look like an old woman in front of these young boys. So what they can see is the Bride of Frankenstein, right? But just like Carrie goes dog walking, the bloody ears. And she's going, no, I'm absolutely fine. I'm fine.
I've been there. Definitely. Yeah, I guess sometimes we just don't want to. Yeah, I tell you what it was for me. I didn't want to waste anybody's time in case it wasn't a heart attack. I thought it might. I thought I didn't want to get an ambulance. A heart attack. That's how weird is that? So yeah, if you think you got a bit of chest pain, feeling nauseous, pain in the arm, because actually for women, the menopause and heart attacks, there's links between them, but they haven't done a huge amount. Funny old this, they haven't done a huge amount of research on menopause and the heart attacks, because you can guess why? It's because we're women.
We're expendable once we've had pushed a few out.
But women's heart attacks and men's heart attacks is the same, but they're not. They're driven sometimes by different hormones, or so there we are. Anyway, that's a jolly little live long.
Thank you, Maggie.
Love you both. You're fantastic women. I think you're fantastic at what you're doing. So bravo, keep going. With a big round of applause for you, Lucy. You're fantastic. Well, I'll see you on Smashing Women. You're smashing.
Yes. When's the next Funny Women? When's the next Funny Women Exeter?
Oh, it's in July. Hang on, I'll look at my diary.
We're in July now.
It is. No, they'll be sending out a notification, and it's on Monday the 27th.
Brilliant. That's going in the calendar, because I missed the last one.
If people want to write topical stand-up comedy with me, we have a Friday night, 7:30 till 9, and that's on 31st of July. And it's just I always put a song up there and they rewrite the words to the song. It's hilarious, and they write lots of satirical stuff about what's happening. It's just great. If you want to build some more new material, 31st of July, really, 1.5 hours of having a fantastic time with very funny people.
And you can be any gender doing that, is it? Or is that the 7:30? You can be male or female or whatever you want.
Yeah, the 31st is for anybody. The details are on Eventbrite, but they're also on my website.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely to see you, ladies, women, people. Bravo.
See you.
Marvellous.
Bye.
Thank you so much. It's the red button.
It's the red button.
And Maggie is leaving the studio. She's pressing the little button.
Thank you. How fantastic is Maggie? We're so lucky. We've had some amazing guests. She's great.
Honestly, when he said well done Lucy and then said well done Sarah, her mic cut out, so it didn't sound like she said well done Sarah.
She says Lucy, I hear Sarah.
Lucy,
I hear the singles anyway. Thanks, Trish. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's been really good fun, isn't it?
Well, once we got Maggie on, it was my fault. Because I did say to her it's a StreamYard link, but of course you've got to assume people know what that is. So that is my fault. It is something that we need to add into our system for talking to people in the future.
Let's not play the blame game. But it does give me a little bit of wiggle room if I go wrong in the future.
Your computer charged. So much to say to her and ask her, and it was fascinating actually finding out about Maggie, because when you are in a student-teacher situation and you're on the clock, you can't do that conversational, back and forth. You're sort of like, right, I want to know this, I need to work on that bit. And it's true. And this is what I was trying to get to, is I see Maggie and I think, how is everybody not signing up to do a Maggie course? Okay, why? What is it? And then I see the wording and the attitude of the male comedy courses that are advertised. And they're so, this is the course for you. I'm right. You will do better from this course. And I'd love to copy and paste one of those and just stick Maggie's name on it. Because you will walk away with more than just a writing framework. Like this course I did with Scott Bennett, amazing. Really, he has changed my writing style now for life. Amazing. But we never worked on, because it was only, it was called a comedy course, but they never inferred what you were going to do. So we didn't do an end, like on the last lesson where we all do our 5 minutes. It was just writing exercises, a collection of days of writing exercises. Whereas Maggie does writing exercises, but she also does the performance. And then she does even down to like, is it BKP?
Yeah.
VT, like the words
Funny letters.
have a certain letters. You know, when I use the words texture and viscosity, right?
Yeah.
I hear her standing in my brain telling me to enunciate those words.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry.
bubble and pop. You know, she covers every aspect of your delivery, from a blank page to standing on stage and projecting your voice. And I just,
she's brilliant. She is fantastic. Fully recommend her, and you know, it wouldn't break the bank either. Let's put it that way. And she's very generous with her time. Extremely generous with her time. Right, should we call it a day there, my lovely? Oh, and so if you joined us towards the end, I fully recommend have a look on YouTube. We started at 4:15, which we'd been going for about 40 minutes by that point, I think.
Yeah.
So I would fully recommend going back on YouTube, where these are going to be up and staying up now, and she just gave us so much information, so interesting. So I'd recommend going back and having a watch of that on YouTube. She's just brilliant. And also the D Maxwell one, especially towards the end of the D Maxwell interview. Flipping Nora, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Well, my mother, because I'm in my studio, my grandmother's old room, you know, doing this, and you get caught up. You're listening. I'm looking at you to see when your cues are going to be, and and I'm getting it all done. You're looking for the messages. In the evenings after we do the sync, I go downstairs and I watch the sync back with my mother, and I get to enjoy it as a viewer.
Right.
Because we talk about so much, you know, you'd think, how can you fill 2 hours? Do you know what? Quite fucking easily.
Yeah. Good old naturally.
I just want to say that we have got on Thursday.
Michelle was on. See you, Trish. Ignacio Lopez next Thursday.
Yeah. So we got Ignacio Lopez on Thursday. And then on Sunday, we got Sunay Stevens, who, if you like a TED Talk, she's the person that trains you to do them.
Does she?
She's a TED Talk trainer. Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So she's a comedian. She's getting paid online work, and she's a TED Talk trainer. Well,
wow.
Okay.
Roll on next Sunday then.
I am going to be performing on Tuesday at 8:00 on a bingo comedy show called Buzzwords.
Right.
So you pay £1 or £2 and you get given a card. And if I say words during my set, which I'm not allowed to know, then you win. And also, it's how many comedians fucking say fuck during a fucking stand-up fucking routine. And I don't know how you win, whether it's little or less. So I don't know whether to make it a clean set or utter filth.
Who knows?
But yes, and also I've got Dario Durham, who's going to be a future guest on here on my podcast on Monday. So lots to do. And thank you very much. Sarah and we started the day by learning how to be social media influencers. That killed our brains. And then we had the amazing Maggie Irving, just
Dr. Maggie Irving,
and will us to be better people. I just love her. And I'm going to try and post this YouTube video as many places as I possibly can. That not more people. She should be too busy to do this interview. In my words,
yes.
She shouldn't have this time available.
Thanks to everyone that joined us. Thank you so much. Lovely to see Ray. Lovely to see Trish. Lovely to see who said hi and then didn't say hi. What's that?
Don't know who Zombie is.
Yeah, Zombie family. Lovely to see you. And maybe see you Thursday. We can see Ignacio Lopez. And, just to big up Ignacio, he's created his own online following from way before. He started creating his own following about 10 years ago. So it'll be quite interesting to talk to him about that. Right then, gang.
Right. Thank you very much. And see you on Thursday. What button is this there?
It's the red button. It's the red button.
Right.
Red button.